everybody, and welcome to the first program of the new season of Disabled American Veterans on the Move. I'm your co-host, Mark Golub, with my sidekick here, Arthur Kahn, and we're very happy to welcome two very important people in the Massachusetts DAV system. To Arthur's left and your right, Deborah Olsen, who is the current commander of the DAV of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and to her left is Mrs. Nancy Hoey, who is the commander of Disabled American Veterans Auxiliary for the state. One of the rare times that two leading officers of the state come from the same chapter, which is number 85. So I will begin the questioning by asking these ladies to tell us a little bit about themselves and how they've evolved to this day. We'll start with Deborah.
Most people who have been watching the program know that I've been a member of Chapter 85 for 20 years. I am the chapter service officer and the adjutant, which is the secretary for the chapter. And through the past couple years, I've worked my way through what we call the chairs as senior vice, and this past June, I was honored to be elected commander of the DAV Department of Massachusetts.
Where did you serve militarily?
United States Marine Corps. I went to Parris Island for basic training. From there, I went to Albany, Georgia, Marine Corps Logistics Support Base for schooling and on-the-job training as a purchasing agent. I was a 3081. That MOS no longer even exists. And then I went to Okinawa, Japan, and served in Okinawa, Japan, and came back and was discharged out of Camp Pendleton, California.
And when you were growing up, I take it you had higher education and other jobs, perhaps?
Well, actually, I came from a family of 10. My job was to be the babysitter. I was the oldest female, so I watched all the other children. And when I was in high school, that's what I did, was I babysat neighbors and stuff like that for extra money. And I was in junior ROTC. I went to Billerica High School. I was in junior ROTC, spent 4 years in the program, was the first female to complete a 4-year program. I was the first commander across the nation of any ROTC unit because, again, women weren't allowed to even be in, or females weren't even allowed to be in the unit to the year that I was in. And then I joined the Marine Corps in January of 1977 on delayed enlistment, and went into the Marine Corps. I always wanted to wear a Marine Corps uniform without the white diamond on it, and now that's called the Lamp of Learning that they have on it. And I definitely enjoyed my time in ROTC, enjoyed my time in the service. I was injured while I was in the service, and am now a service-connected, 100% service-connected disabled veteran. And that's how, and now I serve my fellow brothers and sisters that served in the service by being an officer, but mainly by being a service officer for I tell everybody, take away all the other titles. As long as you don't take away service officer, that's...
Okay, you've had a very varied career and you broke the ceiling, which is good.
Right.
Nancy, would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm not as impressive as Debbie is. Debbie has a lot behind her. I grew up in Cambridge, one of 4 daughters of a World War II veteran who never spoke about his service, and went to Cambridge High School, went to Boston State, have my degree in counseling, tried to get a job for a couple of years in counseling, changed careers, and went into the post office. Very unusual change of careers, but it was something my father suggested, and I listened to him. And after, basically. And late in life, I met my husband and got married about 20 years ago, and he's also a U.S. Navy veteran. And between the two of them is how it got me more involved with the DAV and the auxiliary.
That's terrific. Thank you. Arthur, do you have a question?
I do. Before I ask the question, I must admit that you two ladies are probably the best looking commanders we've had in a long time, outside of Mark and myself. I'm only kidding. But my
thank you.
question, what got you both interested in the DAV and the DAV service and leadership that you want to take this upon yourself, which is a big undertaking?
Should I go first?
Sure.
Basically, my background is in counseling, and I always have that desire to help people. And listening late in life, my father started talking about his service, and listening to my husband. And between the two of them, it got me more involved in veterans and just trying to find out more about it. I will honestly say, until I was probably in my 50s, I did not know a lot about the military. I'm not like Debbie going in at all, because my father being of that generation that you never talked about it, it was never spoken. Late in life, I found out I had 7 uncles that all were in the military, and I didn't realize that until the World War II memorial was being built, and I was trying to get my father's name involved on the roster that they have there, and started asking my relatives, and so it was very slow for me to get involved in it. But once I got involved, I just kept, like Debbie said, I went up the chairs to learning more about it, and that's how I've become the commander, because I did go up the chairs.
Thank you very much.
Debbie?
As for me, most people know that I actually did take a hiatus from the military. I was married to a Marine, got divorced, and I tried to join a couple other organizations, and at that time, they weren't accepting women veterans. So was not happy with that and kind of stayed away from it for a while. And then I lived in a 2-family house, and the people that lived in the second floor, he was actually a commander of the DAV, and said, you know, you can become a member of the DAV, and would love to have you. So I went down to the chapter with him and spoke with Dick Thistle, who had been commander of our chapter for 9 or 10 different times, and spoke with him and became a member, and kind of took me under his wing. And then I had Jerry Horton, who was a district commander, take me under his wing. And then Tom Daly took me under his wing so that I would learn about what the DAV is and what it does. And I became passionate about helping our veterans. So since 2000, I joined in 1999. In 2004, I became a service officer, and I've been a service officer ever since.
Wow.
So
you've had a lot of wings in your
well,
path.
a lot of people that helped me fly,
Very,
okay?
very good.
Because I didn't have my own wings, and they gave
That's a
me
good way of
theirs.
wording it.
So tell us a little bit about your responsibilities in these capacities.
Do you want to talk?
As commander of the DAV, the state, it's my responsibility to assist my other officers. Every officer that we has its own duty. And whether it be legislation, we have a legislation person, we have service and charitable, we have bylaws. And what we have them do is they all take a role. And it's my job to make sure that they have what they need to perform their duties. And also for comradeship amongst everybody. Right now, our big thing is teamwork with the auxiliary, that we work as a team. Our auxiliary and our DAV work together as a team, that our chapters work together as teams to do the mission of the DAV, which is ensuring that veterans, their families, and survivors lead productive lives and can do that with dignity. So that's what we do.
Thank you.
And basically, it's the same for the auxiliary, but the auxiliary is basically their backup. We're trying to help the DAV. And all of my line officers have an assignment also. And we have Americanism. We try to have junior activities. We try to get more involvement of the families involved. But it is for all the veterans and their families that we're working, but we work very closely with the DAV.
Terrific. Heather. I think you have a question.
I do. You girls have worked very hard, and I'm very proud to be on the same team. And if Mark and I can ever add assistance to you, just let us know. But my next question is, what have you hoped to accomplish during this year of leadership of as commander of both posts?
What I'd like to accomplish is I'd like to accomplish getting more members, recruiting more members, but also getting members that will actually volunteer, because a lot of times we do get members and then we don't see them again. So I'd love to recruit more members, get them involved, and then in addition to that, one of the big things I would like to do, and I guess this goes back to my teaching, is I'd like to get some of the junior people, the junior members, involved in understanding about a veteran and what a veteran did and what they sacrificed for us, and have them understand it, because they're the next generation. And we don't want the stories that we have of veterans, what Debbie's gone through, what you guys have gone through. We want them to know it. We want to try to keep the juniors active, and that's one of the main things I want to do. I want to get more members, and I want to get the junior members involved.
Okay.
As for me, my goal is to make membership is great, volunteerism is better.
That's true.
And you don't need to be a veteran to volunteer.
No, you
We have a van program, transportation program, that we need drivers for. You don't need to be a veteran. You don't even need to know a veteran. You just need to have some time that you can give to the organization
And a license.
to allow our veterans to get to their doctor's appointments that they need to get to because they can't drive. And we have a whole program on that. Anybody interested, they can contact me directly through the chapter, and I'll give you the information on how to go about doing that. But also volunteerism within the community. As we do, Malden 85 has adopted Atrium Place, if you want to say that, because they have 28 veterans there. And we go there to assist veterans. Other than Chelsea Soldiers Home, that's the closest place that has a large number of veterans that we can assist. And it may just be sitting with them and talking with them, having a meal with them. And they're so appreciative of that. The last event we had with them was Veterans Day. And we took part. They brought in the singing trooper.
Oh, he was great.
Dan Clark did a whole program on that, but it was such an awesome opportunity to sit with these veterans and to enjoy that program with them as well.
Right.
Well, that's terrific. It's time for our first and only break for some public service announcements. Arthur and I will be back in a few moments with our wonderful guests.
Thank you.
A promise that hit the beaches of Normandy. A covenant that split the skies over Berlin. A vow that captured Iwo Jima. A promise was made. A solemn oath that liberated Seoul. A sacred trust that defended Khe-Sanh. A pact that dug in Da Nang. A contract that weathered Tet. A promise was made. A pledge that stormed the desert in Iraq. A bond that patrolled door to door in Fallujah. An IOU that braved IEDs in Kandahar. A promise was made to America's veterans. A promise we all must keep. DAV fights for all veterans and their families so they get the health care, financial benefits, and support they earned. If you're a veteran who needs help or you'd like to help us keep the promise, visit DAV.org.
We're back. Just to recover what we're doing here, our Kahn, my good friend and co-conspirator, have been sharing duties on this program for the last 3 years, and it's a pleasure working with him.
Thank you, Mark.
Our guests today are Deb Olsen, the adjutant for Chapter 85, and Nancy Hoey, who at one time was the head of our DAVA. Now both these ladies are serving on the state level as commanders for their respective organizations. I would imagine that there are many obstacles that you ladies have had to deal with. Leadership doesn't always come easy. Would you care to talk a little bit about the problems you've had with others or in the course of your duties?
I actually have a very good team, and I've had mentors that have always helped. And because one of my mentors was Gloria Fawless, who was from Malden, but I have a very good team of past state commanders that if I have any questions or if I come across an obstacle that I don't know how to handle, they've all been there. They all jump in, which is wonderful. I have Liz Eldridge, which is my adjutant, who I basically say she runs everything because she knows everything, in my opinion, about the DAV auxiliary. But I have a great team that if I have any questions or if I have an obstacle in the sense of not being able to make a function that somebody needs me at for some reason, I have my team that I can ask to go in my place, or one of the past state commanders will take over. So we have a very good group that works together.
That's good to hear.
Thank
Deb, are you so fortunate?
Yes, I am extremely fortunate. I have an awesome line officers behind me, but I'm not concerned at all about the organization for the next 5 or so years. The team that is behind us is extremely strong and dedicated to the purpose of the DAV. We are being led by Dan Stack, who is our CEO and adjutant for the Department of Massachusetts, and we have 2 assistant adjutants, Jesse Flynn and Gabe Nutter. Jesse is handling a lot of our legislation issues, and Gabe Nutter is handling Veterans Homestead. It's a project for the DAV, and that project is assisting veterans at risk and their families, getting them into homes. And right now we have a facility up in Gardner that has 20 2-bedroom apartments, and we put the veterans in their home, we get them stabilized, and then they go to school at Wachusett College. And when they come out of the school, they graduate from the school, we assist them in finding permanent housing and also a job. So, and we have plenty of success stories out of that. We also have a couple other facilities in the Gardner area that are also assisting veterans that are what we consider at-risk veterans, veterans that are in danger because they're homeless or may have been homeless, or drugs or maybe even illnesses that they have. And that program has just started this past June. We've just taken over responsibility of that program. I am so grateful to be part of that. We just Wells Fargo just donated $51,000 to rehab one of the homes and to make those into actual apartments so that it's more permanent living. Instead of a rooming house, it's going to be an actual apartment with an efficiency apartment for the veteran. Nice. So we're really looking forward to doing some serious work with this, and it's a pilot program that we're hoping that once this program gets well, we can spread it throughout the state, and our national is really looking at it and hoping that we can make it a national program as another way of the DAV assisting veterans and their families.
That's terrific, and you're on top of every one of these opportunities. That's
I'm
great.
Trying to keep as top of those as I can. There are a lot coming, a lot of things that come down the pike. The big thing right now is making sure our chapters stay viable with the aging members of our veterans. It's also making the newer veterans feel welcome into an organization where the average age is 72. But we need the newer veterans because we need their input on what their needs are, because we don't take care of the newer veterans. Who's going to take care of them?
That's a very
So
good
we
question.
want to make sure that we bring them into the fold and that we modernize the DAV, and we are working on modernizing not just the DAV, but the our chapters and how our chapters do meetings by adding in training sessions into our meetings and stuff like that. So we're working very hard on trying to everybody make it inclusive for our older veterans and our younger veterans, and to make sure that they're all cared for properly.
Terrific, thank you. Arthur has the next question for Deb.
I do for Debbie, but just to let you know that without people like you, we wouldn't have a country. Veterans support us 100%, but the sad part that every day 15 to 20 veterans commit suicide. And it's women like you that try to prevent that by helping them when they're in need. But Debbie, my question to you is, how have you balanced your work as Malden DAV adjutant, Massachusetts DAV commander, with your own responsibilities as a parent, and et cetera, et cetera?
Well, but luckily, my son, literally, if I was not on bed rest when I gave birth to him, probably would have been born at the DAV or at one of our functions, because I was always there. But he's grown up in the DAV. Last year he was awarded a national award for his volunteerism in the DAV as an auxiliary member. I was the last year that he could receive one because he's a senior in high school this year. So yeah, it sometimes that's a challenge, balancing, making sure that I'm home, especially this year with all the things that seniors need to do. Oh well, we need to get to a college interview or something like that. Yeah. So, but it is something that's worthwhile doing. He's always going to come first. So, and I have a daughter and 2 grandchildren as well, so balancing that. But luckily, I do have a team behind me, and also at the chapter level, that realize that, hey, Deb needs to go to a function because she needs to represent the department. One of the officers from the chapter is always willing to step up, and anything that I can't complete, they're willing to step in and do. So, and it's happening on the state level as well. So it balances out fairly well. And since I've been doing it now for 20 years, I think I've got it pretty well down pat.
I think you do as well.
You're good.
There's an old saying, Debbie, that a busy person makes time. No question of mine, you're probably one of the busiest women around, but you find time 24 hours a day to help out your family when they're in need. So I give you the gratitude that you deserve, and keep up the wonderful work.
Yeah, my family is not just my blood family, my daughter, my son, my grandchildren. My family is the DAV and the people within it, and my brothers and sisters that have served. That is my family. And I'd like to make sure that they're taken care of. If it wasn't for my phone and being able to put everything in my phone and make a calendar, I might not be able to fit things in because I'd forget things. I have CRS syndrome, so, we won't even say what that is on TV. But,
I was going to ask you.
No, we won't. We can't say that on TV.
Whatever you forget, Nancy picks it up.
Yeah.
Nancy, the same question to you, dear.
Well, luckily I retired from the post office about 4 years ago, and and I don't have any children. I'm not in the same situation as Debbie. But my husband is a DAV member for over 25 years. So he comes to 90% of the things with me. And so we've been very good. He's been my team and my support. And I've been very, very lucky in that sense, because I don't have as many obligations. I don't have the child in the house or anything like that. My obligation is my family, and that's been lately. It's been my friends from the DAV and my husband, and he is there for me, and he understands us. He's also the one who got me mostly involved in it, so
Well, that's great.
Yes,
you ladies epitomize the concept of those who give blessings receive blessings in return, and that's wonderful. Before Arthur asks you the last question, Deb, I'd like you to share with our viewing audience some of the upcoming programs and events that our local DAV is planning
Okay,
for.
Chapter 85 on Monday, this coming Monday, the 26th. Is that the date? The 26th is our chapter meeting at 6:30. And please, if you're a chapter member, please come. Get involved in the chapter. Come down and see what we're doing on the chapter level as well. On the 1st of December is the annual DAV Sunday. The chapter will be going to Chelsea Soldiers Home. I'll actually be going to Northampton as a state representative, going out to Northampton for their DAV Sunday. Every single one of our VA hospitals has the same day. There's programs going on at the VA hospitals, also at Chelsea and Holyoke Soldiers Home. So that's that. And then we pretty much go into a lull, if you want to say that, for the holidays. And then in February, we'll start picking up. We'll have our meetings. We'll have our nomination elections of officers. We go right back into the busy season because we'll be prepping for our installation of officers and Memorial Day and our department and national convention. This year is our 100th convention for the DAV. It's in Dallas, Texas. We're trying to get 100 members, DAV auxiliary and auxiliary members, to go down there from the state of Massachusetts. The next big event also is Midwinter Conference. That's the last week in February. We go down to Washington, D.C., and we discuss legislation issues that are pertinent to veterans and their families and survivors with our legislators. And we're down there for
About a week?
4 days, 4 or 5 days down there, and we're speaking with our reps, and the national commander of the DAV speaks in front of the Joint Veterans Affairs Committee about the veterans issues.
Well, thank
those
you.
are important. Then we'll be there. I'll be there as well.
We're almost out of time, and you gave a great background of that. Arthur, one
Yes,
last quick
for
question.
both of you, what legacy would you like to leave for those who will follow you?
I myself would just like to leave the fact that I would like to get more juniors involved and younger members so that they understand what DAV stands for, Disabled American Veterans. I've had people say, what does DAVE stand for? And I'm trying to say Disabled American Veterans, and get them out there to understand that more.
All right, and quickly, Deb?
And for me, what I want to leave behind is that as a team, we can do anything. And it doesn't, and we welcome all team members. You don't even have to be a veteran. You don't even have to have a veteran in your family, though most of us do. You can help just by helping other veterans. And we can do that as a team. And also, if we don't remember our history, we're bound to repeat it.
Yes.
So, and there's some history things we don't ever want to repeat in our lifetime. So we want to make sure that our younger members know what DAV stands for and what we do.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Arthur and myself, we want to thank you for joining us by video today. And we thank our two guests, Deb and Nancy, and we'll look forward to seeing all of you the next time.